answers. But his friend always listened and took him seriously. Each time it happened, he would tell his friend about the changes he saw or noticed. It was his way of recording what was happening while getting things off his chest. Then the nightmares happened. One night, while laying in his bed, the only sounds were the creek and the animals in the hills. His windows would be open, as they couldn't afford something like air conditioning. A slight wind would softly blow through the curtains, cooling the room. Then the room seemed to warp slightly with flashes of light, and in that warping, he would see things trying to change in his room, but it was hard to really take in, as the only light he had was from the moon shining through the window. But it was enough to scare him into a frozen position. He would just shut his eyes, pray, and hope it would all just go away. Fortunately, he fell asleep. He expected when he woke up for things to be different, but that wasn't the case. He told no one in his family, but he did tell his best friend. They both thought maybe a nightmare. The next night, the same thing began to happen, but this time it was much worse. Through the light of the moon and his curtains blowing in the wind, he saw a hand begin to reach through the window, even though the screen was still on it. It was reaching for his legs, and he was unable to move, frozen, unable to speak or even make a sound. As the hand grabbed his leg, it all stopped and he was unfrozen and able to move again. The next day, he did tell his mother and father about it. As devout Christians, they would explain it as some spiritual attack and he should just pray about it. But he felt there was much more to it than that. A couple nights later, it happened again. He had closed his eyes shut as the warping began, scared frozen. Eventually, opening his eyes, instead of a hand coming through the window, there was something insane, floating only inches from his body. A ghostly body, a milky white color, with the face of maybe a demon. It was an emaciated face. The eyes were a solid cream color, with a large grin on its face. Frozen again, he just lay there, unable to move or make a sound. This went on for a couple hours, just floating above his own body. It had long white string-like hair that fell down over his face. He felt like he could feel it touching him, or maybe he was just so scared it seemed that way. After a couple of hours, it seemed to evaporate as the warping began to stop. He rose up and ran to his parents' room, yelling loudly,